Words, 570. Inside the Omnitrix, a quiet day unfolded as Swampfire and Big Chill continued to flourish in their romantic relationship. Swampfire, with his fiery demeanor, found solace in the gentle and cool presence of Big Chill. Swampfire, gazing deeply into Big Chill's eyes, I never knew love could feel like this. Big Chill, smiling, me neither. But with you, it's different. It's special. Their love had blossomed within the confines of the Omnitrix, away from the chaos of the outside world. As they embraced each other on a cliffside, a green sunset painted the sky in hues of tranquility. Swampfire, holding Big Chill's hands, I never want this moment to end. Big Chill, leaning in closer, it doesn't have to. We have eternity together. In the real world, Ben unknowingly switched off the beeping of the Omnitrix, a sign of the peace that had settled within him after a day of fighting crime. As he sat on his sofa, staring at the gentle swirls of smoke, a sense of calm washed over him. Ben, to himself, I don't know what it is, but I feel at peace. Meanwhile, inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill shared a tender moment, their love emanating through the alien world they inhabited. Swampfire, whispering I love you, Big Chill. Big Chill, smiling and I love you, Swampfire. Forever and always. Their bond transcended the boundaries of their alien forms, a love that could conquer any obstacle. As they stood on the cliffside, their hearts beating as one, a new chapter in their relationship was about to begin. Suddenly, a strange energy rippled through the Omnitrix, causing a disturbance in the otherwise peaceful world. Swampfire and Big Chill looked at each other in confusion, unsure of what was happening. Swampfire, concerned, what's happening, Big Chill? This doesn't feel right. Big Chill, worried, I don't know, but we need to find out. As they ventured deeper into the Omnitrix, they discovered a sinister force at play. A being of darkness and chaos threatened to tear apart their love and destroy everything they held dear. Swampfire, determined, we can't let this creature win, Big Chill. Our love is stronger than any darkness. Big Chill, nodding together, we can defeat anything. Let's show this creature the power of our love. With their powers combined, Swampfire and Big Chill confronted the dark entity, unleashing a torrent of energy that banished it from their world. As the dust settled, they stood victorious, their love shining brighter than ever before. Swampfire, smiling, we did it, Big Chill. Our love is stronger than any evil. Big Chill, grinning, together, we can overcome anything. I love you, Swampfire. Their love had withstood the test of darkness, emerging even stronger than before. As they returned to their peaceful cliffside, the green sunset bathed them in a warm glow, a symbol of the love that would endure for eternity. And in the real world, Ben sat on his sofa, a sense of peace washing over him as he unknowingly basked in the residual joy of Swampfire and Big Chill's triumph over darkness. The love story of Swampfire and Big Chill had proven that love knows no bounds, not even those of an alien world inside the Omnitrix. And as they gazed into each other's eyes, a future filled with endless possibilities stretched out before them, a testament to the power of love in all its forms. Despite the chaotic days in the real world, inside the Omnitrix, there was peace and harmony as Swampfire and Big Chill continued to deepen their romantic relationship. The strange yet beautiful love story between the fiery Swampfire and the icy Big Chill was blossoming inside the confines of the powerful device, away from the prying eyes of their creator, Ben. Swampfire, with his green flaming body, and Big Chill, with her icy blue wings, spent their days exploring the vast landscapes within the Omnitrix, discovering hidden wonders and secret places that no one else had ever seen. They laughed and played, their love growing stronger with each passing day. One day, as they stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking a stunning green sunset, Swampfire took Big Chill's hand in his own, his eyes filled with a fierce determination. I love you, Big Chill, he said, his voice tinged with a hint of nervousness. Big Chill smiled, her icy blue eyes sparkling with joy. I love you too, Swampfire, she replied, her voice soft and full of emotion. And in that moment, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the two alien creatures, they knew that they were meant to be together forever. They embraced each other, their love shining brightly in the dim light of the Omnitrix, a beacon of hope in a world filled with chaos and uncertainty. As the days passed, Swampfire and Big Chill's love only grew stronger. They shared intimate moments, whispered sweet nothings to each other, and dreamed of a future where they could be together always. And in the depths of the Omnitrix, their love story continued to unfold, a tale of passion and commitment that transcended time and space. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ben continued to battle against the forces of evil, unaware of the love story that was unfolding inside his own device. He fought tirelessly, his mind consumed with thoughts of justice and heroism, never once suspecting that his alien creations were experiencing a love so pure and powerful. But as fate would have it, one day, as Ben sat alone in his room, exhausted from the day's adventures, he heard a faint beeping coming from his wrist. Curious, he looked down at the Omnitrix, only to find that the beeping had finally stopped. With a sense of relief, he switched off the device, a small smile playing on his lips as he allowed himself a moment of peace. Little did he know, inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were preparing for a moment that would change their lives forever. As the sun set on another day, they stood on the cliffside once more, their hearts filled with anticipation and love. And as the last rays of light disappeared over the horizon, Swampfire dropped to one knee, a small box in his hand. Big Chill, he said, his voice unwavering, will you marry me? Big Chill's eyes widened in surprise, her wings fluttering with excitement. Tears of joy welled up in her eyes as she threw her arms around Swampfire, nodding fiercely. Yes, yes, 8,000 times yes. And in that moment, as they stood on the cliffside, surrounded by the beauty of the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill sealed their love with a kiss, a promise to be together forever. And as they embraced, a warm glow filled the air, a sign of the love that the two alien creatures shared, a love that would endure for all eternity. Words, 588. Words, 815. As Ben sat on the sofa, staring at the smoke, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He had just finished a long day of fighting crime as his alter ego, and now he was trying to relax. But there was a nagging sense of unease that he couldn't quite place. Inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were deep in conversation. They had been spending more and more time together lately, and their bond had grown stronger. Swampfire, with his fiery personality, had always been drawn to the cool, calm Big Chill. And Big Chill, with her icy exterior, had found solace in Swampfire's warmth. We make a great team, don't we? Swampfire said, looking into Big Chill's eyes. Big Chill smiled, her eyes shining with affection. We do, Swampfire. I never thought I would find someone who understands me the way you do. Swampfire reached out and took Big Chill's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. I know we come from different worlds, but when I'm with you, it feels like we belong together. Just then, a beeping sound interrupted their moment. It was the alarm signaling that Ben was in danger. They quickly transformed back into their alien forms and prepared to face whatever threat was awaiting them. Back in the real world, Ben was completely unaware of the drama unfolding inside his Omnitrix. He had deactivated the beeping noise, thinking it was just a glitch in the system. Little did he know that Swampfire and Big Chill were on the brink of a major turning point in their relationship. As Swampfire and Big Chill flew off into the night, ready to save Ben once again, they couldn't help but think about the future. Could they really make a life together, despite their differences? And what would Ben think if he ever found out about their romantic feelings for each other? The tension was palpable as they arrived at the scene of the crime. A group of alien invaders had taken over the city, and Ben was nowhere to be found. Swampfire and Big Chill sprang into action, using their powers to defeat the enemy and save the day. But as they fought side by side, their connection grew even stronger. They moved in perfect sync, anticipating each other's moves before they even happened. It was as if they were made for each other, destined to be together. After the dust had settled and the aliens were defeated, Swampfire and Big Chill shared a moment of quiet reflection. They knew that they couldn't keep their feelings hidden forever. It was time to tell Ben the truth about their relationship and see where the chips fell. Back at Ben's house, he sat on the sofa, still staring at the smoke. He had a strange feeling that something important was about to happen, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Just then, Swampfire and Big Chill appeared before him, their expressions serious yet filled with love. Ben, we need to talk, Swampfire said, taking a deep breath. What's going on? Ben asked, his curiosity piqued. Big Chill stepped forward, her icy demeanor softened by her feelings for Swampfire. Ben, we've kept this a secret for too long. Swampfire and I are in love. Ben's eyes widened in shock. He had never imagined that his two alien forms could have romantic feelings for each other. But as he looked at them now, he could see the truth in their eyes. I had no idea, Ben stammered, unsure of what to say. Swampfire and Big Chill exchanged a knowing glance before turning back to Ben. We understand if this is too much for you to handle, Swampfire said, his voice filled with emotion. But we couldn't keep it a secret any longer. We love each other, and we hope you can accept that. Ben took a moment to process the information, his mind racing with thoughts and questions. But then, a smile spread across his face as he realized the true depth of the bond between Swampfire and Big Chill. I'm happy for you both, Ben said, his voice filled with genuine happiness. Love knows no boundaries, even between aliens. You have my full support. And with that, Swampfire and Big Chill embraced each other, their love shining brightly in the darkness. As they shared a kiss, Ben felt a sense of peace wash over him. The love that Swampfire and Big Chill had found was a reminder that anything was possible, even in a world filled with danger and uncertainty. As they stood together in unity, Ben knew that he had a team like no other. And with Swampfire and Big Chill by his side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. Love truly was the most powerful force in the universe, and Ben was grateful to have witnessed its magic firsthand. Words, 890. Inside the Omnitrix, the love story between Swampfire and Big Chill was blossoming beautifully. Swampfire, with his fiery red skin and flaming hair, looked deeply into the ice blue eyes of Big Chill, who had a cold exterior but a warm heart. They had been through many battles together, fighting side by side to protect the universe, and their bond had grown stronger with each passing day. Swampfire wrapped his vine-like arms around Big Chill, pulling her close as they stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast green landscape. I never knew love could be so powerful, Swampfire said, his voice filled with emotion. Big Chill smiled, her icy breath creating a frosty mist in the air. I never thought I could love someone as fiercely as I love you, she replied, her voice soft and gentle. As they gazed into each other's eyes, a sense of peace washed over them. They knew that no matter what challenges they faced, as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ben had just returned home after a long day of fighting crime as his alter ego, the hero known as XLR8. He collapsed onto the sofa, feeling drained and exhausted. As he sat there, staring at the swirling smoke in the room, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing in his life. Back inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were making plans for their future together. They talked about traveling to distant planets, exploring new galaxies, and maybe even starting a family of their own someday. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you, Swampfire said, his eyes filled with love and adoration. Big Chill kissed him softly on the lips, her touch sending shivers down his spine. I feel the same way, she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. Suddenly, a loud beeping noise erupted from the Omnitrix, breaking the moment of intimacy between them. Swampfire and Big Chill looked at each other in confusion, wondering what was causing the disturbance. Back in the real world, Ben finally snapped out of his daze and realized that the beeping noise was coming from the Omnitrix attached to his wrist. He quickly reached over and switched it off, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. As he sat there in silence, trying to calm his racing thoughts, Ben couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he knew that something had changed within him. Inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were left feeling unsettled by the disruption. They couldn't understand why the Omnitrix had suddenly started beeping out of nowhere, interrupting their moment of peace and tranquility. I have a bad feeling about this, Swampfire said, his brow furrowed in concern. Big Chill nodded, her expression mirroring his. We need to figure out what's going on. Something doesn't feel right. Together, they set out to investigate the source of the disturbance, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. As they delved deeper into the inner workings of the Omnitrix, they discovered a hidden chamber that they had never seen before. Inside, they found a strange device that seemed to be causing the beeping noise. This must be what's been causing the disturbance, Big Chill said, her voice echoing in the chamber. Swampfire examined the device closely, trying to decipher its purpose. I think this is a tracking device. Someone has been monitoring our every move from the outside. Just as they were about to disable the device, a voice echoed through the chamber. Well, what do we have here? Swampfire and Big Chill turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows, a sinister smile playing on their lips. It was Vilgax, their sworn enemy, who had somehow found a way to infiltrate the Omnitrix. You thought you could keep your little love story a secret from me? How amusing, Vilgax sneered, his eyes filled with malice. Swampfire and Big Chill braced themselves for battle, knowing that they would have to fight tooth and nail to protect their love and their universe from Vilgax's evil schemes. Back in the real world, Ben felt a sudden surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. He knew that something was terribly wrong inside the Omnitrix, and he had to find a way to help Swampfire and Big Chill before it was too late. With a determined look in his eyes, Ben activated the Omnitrix and transformed into his most powerful alien form, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the battle between good and evil raged on, Ben, Swampfire, and Big Chill fought side by side, using their combined strength and courage to defeat Vilgax once and for all. And as the dust settled, they knew that no matter what trials and tribulations they faced, as long as they had each other, they could conquer anything that came their way. And so, the love story between Swampfire and Big Chill continued to blossom, stronger than ever before, as they embraced their future together with open hearts and unwavering determination. And Ben, the hero known as XLR8, stood proudly by their side, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store for them. Words, 663. Inside the interiors of the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were deeply in love with each other. Their relationship had blossomed into something beautiful and they spent their days exploring the vast landscapes within the Omnitrix, discovering new adventures together. Ben, unaware of what was happening inside his Omnitrix, continued to go about his daily life, fighting crime and saving the day. Swampfire and Big Chill's love for each other only grew stronger with each passing day. They would often be found holding hands, gazing into each other's eyes, and enjoying each other's company. Their love was pure and genuine, and they knew that they were meant to be together forever. One day, as Ben returned home after a long day of crime fighting, he noticed a strange beeping coming from the Omnitrix attached to his wrist. Curious, he decided to investigate and entered the world inside the Omnitrix. To his surprise, he discovered Swampfire and Big Chill deeply in love with each other. Ben was shocked and amazed at the sight before him. He had never imagined that two of his alien forms could have a romantic relationship. He watched as Swampfire and Big Chill embraced each other, their love shining brightly in the alien world. Ben couldn't help but feel happy for them, knowing that they had found true love. As Swampfire and Big Chill continued to build their relationship, Ben decided to give them some privacy and exited the world inside the Omnitrix. He knew that their love was special and he didn't want to interfere with it in any way. Instead, he focused on his own life in the real world, content in the knowledge that his alien forms were happy and in love. Days turned into weeks, and Swampfire and Big Chill's love only grew stronger. They shared many special moments together, from watching the sunset on a cliffside to enjoying quiet walks in the alien world. Their love was a beautiful and rare thing, and they cherished every moment they spent together. One day, as Ben was resting at home, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that Swampfire and Big Chill were happy and that their love was pure. He smiled to himself, grateful for the love that existed in the world inside the Omnitrix. As the days passed, Swampfire and Big Chill decided to take their relationship to the next level. They planned a special date on a beautiful alien planet, filled with exotic flowers and sparkling waterfalls. Ben, still unaware of their plans, continued to go about his daily life, unaware of the romance blossoming inside the Omnitrix. Finally, the day of the date arrived. Swampfire and Big Chill were filled with excitement and joy as they prepared for their special day. They dressed in their best alien attire and set off for the alien planet, hand in hand, ready to celebrate their love in a magical setting. As they arrived on the alien planet, Swampfire and Big Chill were greeted by a stunning landscape of vibrant colors and exotic flowers. They danced under the alien sky, their love shining brightly for all to see. And as the sun set over the horizon, Swampfire and Big Chill shared a passionate kiss, sealing their love for eternity. Back in the real world, Ben felt a wave of happiness wash over him. He may not have understood everything that was happening inside the Omnitrix, but he knew that Swampfire and Big Chill were meant to be together. Their love was a beautiful and rare thing, and Ben was grateful to have witnessed it. And so, the love story of Swampfire and Big Chill continued to blossom inside the Omnitrix, a reminder of the power of love and the beauty of relationships that transcend boundaries. Ben may have been the hero in the real world, but inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were the true stars of a love story like no other. Words. 553. Inside the interiors of the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were deeply in love with each other. They had been spending long hours together, exploring the different dimensions within the Omnitrix and getting to know each other on a deeper level. Swampfire, with his fiery demeanor, found solace in the cool embrace of Big Chill, while Big Chill, with her icy exterior, melted under the warmth of Swampfire's affection. One day, as they stood on a cliffside top facing the green sunset, Swampfire took Big Chill's hands in his own and looked deeply into her extraterrestrial eyes. "I never knew I could feel this way about anyone," he said softly. "You have brought light into my darkness, Big Chill." Big Chill smiled, her face filled with extraterrestrial tears of joy. "And you, Swampfire, have warmed my cold heart. I never thought I could love someone as much as I love you." As they embraced each other, they activated a hologram in their extraterrestrial smartphone to communicate with Ben in the real world. Ben, who had just finished fighting crime and was now sitting in his room, stared in surprise at the hologram of Swampfire and Big Chill. "What do you two want from me now?" Ben asked, confusion evident in his voice. Big Chill spoke up, her voice soft and pleading. "Ben, please, just let us have some privacy. We need to talk to each other without any interruptions." Ben sighed heavily, realizing that he had no choice but to grant their request. "Fine," he said resignedly. "I'll give you two some privacy." With that, Ben switched off the hologram and leaned back in his chair, staring at the smoke flowing harmlessly in the room. He couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy at the thought of Swampfire and Big Chill's deep love for each other. But he also felt a sense of happiness for them, knowing that they had found something special in each other. Meanwhile, inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were content with Ben's acceptance of their request for privacy. They continued to explore the different dimensions within the Omnitrix, knowing that they had each other to lean on in this strange and vast universe. As they walked hand in hand, Swampfire turned to Big Chill with a mischievous glint in his extraterrestrial eyes. "Hey, Big Chill, do you think we could? I don't know, possibly get married someday." Big Chill's face lit up with a smile, her extraterrestrial tears of joy glistening in the dim light of the Omnitrix. "I would love nothing more, Swampfire. Let's make it happen." And so, under the green sunset of the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill sealed their love with a kiss, their extraterrestrial hearts beating as one. And in that moment, they knew that they were meant to be together for eternity. Outside the Omnitrix, Ben sat in his room, feeling a sense of calm wash over him. He may not have understood the complexities of Swampfire and Big Chill's relationship, but he knew one thing for certain: love knows no boundaries, even in the most unexpected of places. And as he watched the smoke flow harmlessly in the room, Ben smiled to himself, content in the knowledge that love will always find a way, no matter the odds. Words. 537. It was just another normal day inside the Omnitrix, where Swampfire and Big Chill were deeply in love with each other. Ben, unaware of what was happening inside his device, was busy dealing with the daily chaos in the real world. As Swampfire and Big Chill continued to strengthen their romantic bond, they even began to discuss the possibility of a future marriage or date inside the Omnitrix. Despite Ben's obliviousness, the love between Swampfire and Big Chill inside the Omnitrix was pure and genuine. Their relationship flourished without any abnormalities, and they often found themselves lost in each other's company, basking in the love that they shared. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ben had finally put an end to the crime spree that had been plaguing the city. As he returned home and settled onto the sofa, he found himself captivated by the sight of smoke swirling harmlessly in the room. It was a moment of calm amidst the chaos that often surrounded him. As Ben sat there, trying to calm his racing thoughts, he made a decision. He reached over and switched off the beeping sound coming from the Omnitrix, silencing the constant reminders of his superhero duties. Finally able to relax, Ben focused on the peaceful moment in front of him, letting the tranquility wash over him. Meanwhile, inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were enjoying a moment of bliss atop a cliffside, their hearts full of love for each other. The green sunset cast a magical glow around them as they smiled and embraced, their extraterrestrial eyes and tears filled with joy. In a perfect romantic pose, Swampfire and Big Chill held hands tightly, their love for each other shining brightly. They had overcome any obstacles that had come their way and now stood united in their love, ready to face whatever the future held for them. Feeling content and at peace, Swampfire and Big Chill decided to reach out to Ben through a holographic communication device. As Ben appeared on the screen, they politely asked for some privacy to enjoy their moment together. Ben, after a moment of hesitation, agreed to their request and switched off the hologram, allowing them the space they desired. As the holographic image faded away, Ben sighed heavily and leaned back on the sofa, content in knowing that Swampfire and Big Chill were happy together inside the Omnitrix. He closed his eyes and let himself relax, grateful for the peaceful moment that he had been able to experience. As the day eventually came to an end, Ben fell asleep on the sofa, his mind at ease and his heart light. Inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill cuddled close to each other, their love shining brightly in the darkness. And as they drifted off to sleep, they knew that no matter what challenges they faced, their love would always be there to guide them through. The story of Swampfire and Big Chill's romance inside the Omnitrix was a beautiful testament to the power of love, even in the most unexpected of places. And as the sun rose on a new day, they knew that their love would only continue to grow stronger with each passing moment. Words. 525. Inside the Omnitrix, the romantic relationship between Swampfire and Big Chill continued to blossom. As they stood on a cliffside top, facing the green sunset, they embraced each other, their extraterrestrial eyes and tears of joy shining brightly. Swampfire smiled at Big Chill and said, "I never knew love could feel this way. You truly make me feel alive." Big Chill returned the smile, her voice soft and full of love. "And you make me feel like I can truly be myself. I never want to be apart from you." As they held each other tightly, they activated a hologram on their extraterrestrial smartphone to communicate with Ben in the real world. Ben appeared on the hologram, a look of confusion on his face. "What do you two want from me now?" Ben asked, a hint of annoyance in his voice. Big Chill spoke up, her tone pleading. "Ben, please. Just let us have some privacy. We need this time together." Ben sighed heavily, running a hand through his hair. After a moment of contemplation, he nodded. "Fine. I'll give you two some privacy. Just don't do anything too crazy in there." With a grateful smile, Big Chill and Swampfire bid farewell to Ben on the hologram before switching it off. They turned back to each other, their love stronger than ever. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ben sat on his sofa, staring at the smoke flowing harmlessly inside the room. He had just returned from fighting crime and needed a moment to calm himself down. As he focused on the smoke, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. But little did he know, inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill were planning something big. They had fully settled their differences and were ready to take their relationship to the next level. As they stood on the cliffside, Swampfire took Big Chill's hands in his own and looked into her eyes. "I love you more than anything in this world. Will you marry me?" Tears of joy filled Big Chill's eyes as she nodded, a bright smile on her face. "Yes, I will. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Swampfire." And with that, the two aliens embraced each other, their love shining bright. They knew that their future together would be nothing short of amazing. Back to real world, Ben sat in his smoke-filled room, his mind finally at peace. He had no idea of the love story unfolding inside the Omnitrix, but he felt a sense of contentment knowing that his alien friends were happy. As he leaned back on the sofa, a small smile played on his lips. He may not have known about Swampfire and Big Chill's romance, but he was happy that they had found love in each other. And as the sun set outside his window, Ben closed his eyes, feeling grateful for the quiet moments of peace in his chaotic life. And deep inside the Omnitrix, Swampfire and Big Chill continued to bask in the glow of their newfound love, knowing that their future together would be filled with endless possibilities.